Hello, this is Tony Heller from RealClimateScience.com. The Greenland melting scamsters have exposed their agenda. Bill Gates and Jeff Bezos want to mine rare earth minerals from Greenland. They describe them as being electric vehicle metals. And today the New York Times tweeted this: as climate change melts the ice that covers 80% of Greenland, it has spurred demand for the island's rare minerals. These elements are needed for electric cars and wind turbines and are essential as the world tries to break its addiction to fossil fuels. So what the New York Times is saying is that the only way we can save Greenland's environment is by destroying it. As proof that Greenland is melting down, the New York Times shows a photograph of a glacial terminus where icebergs calve off into the sea. I'll come back in a minute and discuss this photograph, but first let's take a look at what's actually going on in Greenland. This graph is a composite of graphs from the Danish Meteorological Institute showing the surface mass balance of Greenland. On average, about 370 billion more tons of snow falls on Greenland every year than melts during the summer. Snow falls for most of the year on Greenland, and there's only a short season during the summer when it can melt. There's never as much melting during the summer as what accumulated during the winter. Over the past 5 years, Greenland's surface has gained about 2 trillion tons of ice, which is about 500 billion tons above average. The weight of this ice piles up in the interior, and gravity pulls it down to the sea in rivers of ice known as glaciers. When these rivers of ice reach the ocean, they calve off icebergs into the sea. The most famous of these icebergs is the one which the Titanic bumped into 109 years ago. The reason that this occurs is because there's a lot of excess ice in the interior which is being forced by gravity down to the sea. When a glacier calves off an iceberg into the ocean, it's relieving the pressure caused by the excess snow and ice in the interior. This massive flow of ice to the sea is very similar to what goes on in a large river, except that in the case of a glacier, the water is frozen so it moves much more slowly. The New York Times claiming that this massive amount of ice is evidence of global warming would be like claiming that the water flowing over Niagara Falls is evidence of a drought. What they're saying doesn't make any sense scientifically, but it makes perfect sense when you understand what their agenda is. They're working for billionaires who exploit human misery and junk science to increase their wealth. Since the start of the pandemic, Jeff Bezos' wealth has increased by $86 billion and Bill Gates has increased by $22 billion. They see the Greenland melting scam as a great way to increase their wealth further. And they're perfectly happy to destroy Greenland's environment and their culture in order to achieve their goals. And as always, they've got the New York Times there to push their big lie in order to help them out. Toto has been pulling back the curtain on these scams for the past 13 years. You can visit him, Kyrie, and Caesar on the web at RealClimateScience.com.